All right, I'm going to take these glasses off because this is not what I wear. But somebody said something about having glasses would be a great deal. So I hope everybody's having a real good time today here. And I'm trying some new software so we can stream in multiple places. And that's kind of what I'm all excited about. And I don't know. There's a lot going on inside my mind. I mean, if you really want to know, it's just amazing the things that are actually going on in our world right now, all around us, and we're just sitting here going, "What the hell's going on?" Not, some of us are just like lost, la di da, skipping through the fields, doing their things, and we got the media who's censorizing us. I mean, I'm almost 100% sure that when YouTube gets a hold of this video, they're just gonna cut it because they're going to say it's misinformation where it's not. It's my own opinions. My own opinions. It shouldn't be this way in our country. We should be able to voice our own opinions. If someone was to voice their opinions about me, I really wouldn't care. I don't care what people think about me, but there are people actually out there right now who care about getting their feelings hurt. We weren't raised that way. Extremely, we weren't raised that way in any shape, form, or matter. I just cannot believe that we are in that day and age where everybody gets so freaking hurt over the stupidest of things. This has been going on for quite a while. This is well before Trump, and this is all this other stuff that's actually happening. It was way before all that, and it's just it's like a little bit they get their Caesar power a little bit more. Yeah, every it seems like every president except for one president who kind of screwed up the whole thing, and we won't mention his name, but we all know who it is. We all know what's going on in our country. We know that there's a lot of corrupt. It's our government that's corrupt. It's the whole government that's corrupt. Everything, the media is corrupt. Our government is corrupt. You cannot count on our government for nothing. This is why I say when people ask me, "Are you a Democrat?" "Oh, you must be a Republican because of this and that." And and they know I'm not, definitely not Democrat in any shape, form, or manner. And I am not a Republican. I am an American. And that is my deal. I will vote American in any election. I will vote that American in who's going to support the Constitution. And that's what means more to me than anything. Um, if there's no left or right, then they can't fight against each other, and we need to have more of that in our in our whole government. We shouldn't have so many sides and stuff. It should be people working together to make our country best it can possibly be, and not sending all sorts of money to different countries that definitely don't give a crap about the Americans. All they're in it for is basically, you know, the money and the money that we're giving them. And do you think that that money's going to Ukraine? Like, say, the $150 billion that we sent to Ukraine. I know that some of that was military equipment, which, okay, that's all right. So we're giving, them some equipment, but then it's cash, more money, more money. And Biden, whoever does it, I don't know who does it. I don't care who does it, but somebody's writing the checks and that person's giving away that money. Then it makes me wonder how much of that money is actually going back. It, we don't know what to believe. Do you believe that, or do you believe that it's just all legit? Who knows? We can't balance that out in any shape, form, or matter. We just have to keep doing what we're doing, and the best way to do that is to do it and get it done, and try to do something that will work for everybody. And so that's why I tend to get a little bit upset See if anybody's out there. Uh, they're listening. But anyway, the thing about it is it's just weird. It's weird. No matter how you look at it, this whole thing is just weird. It's kind of like we were talking about here in Michigan, Western Michigan. Apparently, there was a kid that identified as a cat and required a litter box in the bathroom for the child to use if the child felt that they uh, would need it in any shape, form, or matter, however you want to look at it. But what really gets me the most, what really drives me, I guess, and it's not driving me insane, but what it is doing is it's like you see what's actually happening in front of your face and you're powerless to do anything to change anything because the way that they got it all worked in, you don't know who to trust. You can It's getting harder to trust friends because you don't know who's going to be dividing that stake. I mean, personally, I had a friend who was a friend for a long time. He completely wrote me off because he thought that this one president was a piece of dirt, and I kept saying no, none of our presidents should be done that way. So I just don't know. So I get it. I get it. I get it that the world around us, is everybody. We should be working together. We should be, instead of fighting for what? You have your countries. You can have your own money. Support yourselves. Let us support ourselves. Let China support themselves. Let these countries, let us support ourselves, and take care of ourselves. And yes, we can do trading back and forth. So let's do it, because all the money is not going to fix everything. It's going to take a team, and that's the whole world to work together. And if the whole world doesn't cooperate, you get with the people who do want to cooperate and try to figure out ways of making the planet better. All the billions of dollars and stuff. And it's just like when Elon Musk bought Twitter and now he changed the name of it. It's kind of everybody's kind of having a hard time. And then apparently there's this group of people that says, oh, the reason why he changed it is because of the sale of it. It had something to do with the sale of it. Who knows the truth on that? So again, we got these stories that are just stories that you never heard before. Before you were hearing about all these movie stars, you were seeing sports deals being done, but now you're being in sports. They're fighting over who can participate in everything. I mean, we never heard that stuff before. This time in our lives is crazy. Some people think it's the end of the world, which you know very well could be, and at any given time. So we all have to just take that stand and do what we need to do. So while I'm doing this, uh I got a couple messages. um I have no idea what he uh okay, so anyway, I gotta go here. I gotta get on, see what's going on here on our channel. uh Gotta switch over here. Oh yeah, there we are. All right, we're working. That's the important part. So that is actually cool. So getting back to what I was saying, Steve, what I'm saying is, I gotta share this with somebody. I'm sorry. So anyway, I have a really good friend of mine. He might be jumping on here in a little bit, but anyway, let's just get what I have to say. So here we are. We're in a time when there's like this huge pandemic that came out. A lot of people before the pandemic said, this is just a government bug. It's done. It's just like the flu. You're gonna get cold. You lose your taste, you lose your smell, and all this stuff was going on well before. Like right when it was just before the shutdown, and then they did the first shutdown, and and everything was working and things were happening and all these other things that were going on was going on. And it was really important because um, it was leading up to what was actually going to happen, and it happened to me. And that's for another story. But the thing about it is what happened was this is an incredible way for the government to jump in here and become. This was a planned deal. This was planned behind the back of our sitting president at the time. This thing they literally, and this is how I feel. I feel that the government, the whole entire government, knew that if Trump kept going, that they would expose more dirt. That's why he said, "Drain in the swamp." He drained in the swamp. You go and look. Then now that he's drained the swamp, he gave us a look at what the everything is right now, and we're all going, "Holy shit! They've been ripping us off." That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what the common man's thinking. Holy shit, these people been ripping us off. How much further does this corruptness go down? How much further does it go? And I think if Trump gets back in office, that's exactly what we're going to find out. But I think even if he doesn't make it to office, here's what my thoughts are. If he doesn't make it to office, the swamp has been drained so much. There's a lot of people scratching their heads and going, "Have we been lied to? Look what's happened in the last couple of years. Look how things have been going on in the last couple of years since the change." There was a lot of scary stuff during COVID. I mean, I got COVID and I ended up 140 days in the hospital. So it kind of made me a believer of COVID. But then you hear other stories. You hear this story, you hear that story, and everything else just doing its thing. And like before I got sick, I Trump was in office. I wake up out of a coma, and Biden's in power, and I'm like, uh, "Am I dreaming? Really? Seriously? How did this happen?" Of course, I wasn't in the function. I didn't know what was going on, and so I didn't want to know. I actually just kind of turned myself away and said, "Hey, I don't want to know anymore." And that's what happened. And so we have this thing happening with COVID, and the government is actually, they're yelling at each other, going back and forth. And instead of working together to solve the problem, our people in our government decided to impeach a sitting president during one of the worst crises in the world. And it didn't make sense. I couldn't make no sense. Why are they doing this? I go, we got other things to worry about. We got millions of people dying from this pandemic and from this virus that could rip into anybody, change anybody's life. And I just raised my hands up and I'm going, "Oh my God, you know, this just keeps getting worse, getting worse, getting worse." And sitting and listening to the news and watching these people complain about this story, this story, this conspiracy, this conspiracy. It's just comes to a point where you have to just put your hands up and say, "No more. I'm not listening to this anymore. I'm gonna draw my own conclusion. I'm gonna do my research on each individual candidate, and I'm gonna vote on the person who is an American, who is going to support the Constitution 100%. That would be the person who I would vote for." The setting president right now, would you vote for him again? I don't think so, because does not support the Constitution in any shape. He took an oath, and he went against that oath. I don't know if that's a crime or not, but again, the previous administration, it could. I mean, he's swore to the Constitution. He upholded the Constitution. He did everything that but still, Are there things that he did against the Constitution while president? Is there anything that he did? I can't find anything, but I cannot tell you one way or the other if that's true or if that's not. It's just the way it is. I mean, the pandemic tore down the country to the point where we felt a need for the government to step in and take care of us. And this is, it all started, and this was, in my opinion, well, this is a planned attack on our country and a person who was definitely showing us things that we should have seen a long time ago. But I guess I'm as guilty as anybody because for a long time I just had this thought, well, everybody who votes for it, I'll just go with what the majority is going for. And that's how I would vote. I never knew what the president was like or anything. I mean, I even voted for Obama the first time. Because I listened to him. He was a good talker. He had a lot of good ideas, good policies and stuff at the time. In the beginning, I mean, there was a lot that he said that made sense to me. Not the second term. There, he completely he lied to the whole country. He lied to the people who elected him. But the biggest one was the biggest scam was the um, healthcare, Affordable Healthcare Act. Oh no, that was not all. Everybody is still feeling that. That is the biggest scam ever done. Is because the price of what we pay into our insurance. Sure, it's like having car insurance. I totally get it, but the government has their hands in this. you know and if anything should happen to you, you have to have insurance. If you do not have insurance, I'm telling you right now, they would let you die. It's all based on your insurance and how much your insurance is willing to pay, and that's how it works. Believe me, I know from fact. And you'll get a bill and stuff, but if the bill is too much money, they will not ask for a dime of it because they know that you will never be able to pay that. So there's something that goes on with inside the government. But I do know this, that if I had not had the insurance I had at the time, I would not be here. I believe that they just wouldn't have the resources and the insurance at the time, which I wouldn't have had no insurance whatsoever at that time. They would have let me die. And that's just because just the money wasn't there to keep me alive. And they can only do so much. And what's sick about that is the insurance companies get to decide if you live or die. And not only that, think about all this other stuff. There's some things that they will not cover for cancer people, for people who have oh god, like people with type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes, all this other stuff. Think about it. These people need their medications, and their medications is for 1 month supply of insulin. It is $1,500. That's with insurance. And then the insurance company only pays a very little bit. And that's just absolutely beyond something that shouldn't even ever happen. And that's my opinion in this. Like I said, these are my own opinions. I'm going based on what I hear and everything else. So during this time, during the pandemic, a lot of us suffered in more ways than ever. My wife, it affected her in a way that her and I are no longer together. But the reason for that isn't nothing other than COVID really drove a wedge between me and my wife. And I don't blame her for it one bit. She doesn't, she's not responsible. I blame a lot of other things that are responsible for that. And, but I don't she got COVID, and she was sat there, and she was on a daily basis watching her husband die before her eyes. And like I said, if it hadn't been for the insurance, she would have been putting me in the oven, cooking me, and my kids, everything is done. She gets her insurance policy, blah 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 blah, and the story. But again, look at the insurance I had. I mean, literally, I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you what the doctor's bills were, but it was, believe me, astronomical. And so look at what we put into insurance, okay? And we have these high deductibles. I mean, for a family of two, it's $4,000 in deductibles that you have to pay. Now, I can go through that really quick because I go to the doctor quite a bit. And right now that I'm not, my insurance isn't there quite yet. Um, I gotta have insurance. There's just no doubt I gotta have insurance. And it's there's gonna be a lapse, and God forbid if anything should happen to me between now and then. Because the new insurance I'm getting will be a little bit better. But see, the thing, why should we have to think about all this? Why can't insurance companies, you pay like we used to pay? The company pays for so much, and then you pay whatever the company doesn't pay, or whatever the case may be. And insurance is expensive. I mean, it's like for one person, it's like $1,500 a month, which is quite a lot of money for, to keep your insurance active, because like Cobra's just, I don't know how it really works, but it just keeps paying your deal. And so with that being said, again, the insurances, how much does the government have their hands on it? Well, it's obvious. And then pharmaceuticals, it's the biggest racket. I mean, they make so much money off from people who don't make any money at all. I mean, I watch my own father. I watch him when he goes and gets, and how much they're charging him, how much the government's not paying for, or things that maybe my father don't even know that he has, that he can get to lower those prescription drugs that he has to have. Why should my father have to go through all that? Why can't it just be simple? Why does a doctor have to add more pills and all this other stuff? Tell me why that happens. I mean, when I got out of hospital, I had 28 pills I was taking on a daily basis. I went through and just looked at what the pills do. Do I really need it? And they had me on a lot of this same kind medication, but it was like totally not good, you know. And the money I was paying in prescription, the cost, just me paying for it, was astronomical. I just couldn't believe, here I got this really great insurance, but once you meet that deductible, boy, then everything changes. They want you to spend $4,000 before they get anything back, before you can. So technically, you're like, if you okay, look at it this way. This is how big of the scam this is. This is a scam. You take some young kids, right? And they get insurance, and they're paying in, they have a, let's say they got a married young, or well, yeah, let's say a married young couple. All right. They have to meet a $4,000 deductible. How much, how many times will this young couple, if they don't have any kids, how many times will this young couple go into the doctor and have anything? They're going to pay 100% out of their pocket for the whole entire year. If they go into any emergency room or they do anything, because they're not going to meet a $4,000 deductible at all. Heck, I have a friend of mine who's going to have a colonoscopy, and it's $4,000 just for that procedure alone. Wow. I mean, seriously? That's what it is. That's what the whole thing is. And so you just think about it. You just, okay, think about all that, how much of a scam it is. The pharmaceuticals, the medical, on what they can do. I mean, these doctors are like you cannot, a lot of these doctors don't seem to have a sense of humor. I don't blame them, to be honest with you. And it's just one of those things. But you can't even really have a um you really couldn't have a conversation with a doctor that you could have before, because there's certain things he can say and certain things he cannot say. And this I know for a fact because it happened to me. And so they won't answer the question at all. At they won't answer the question. And it gets pretty amazing at times. But again, the government, how much does the government have in control of that? Well, it's all one big unit. I mean, these pharmaceutical companies pay for candidates, their campaigns and all this other stuff. There's money going left, right, going through the whole system. Somebody's making something out of this whole thing. And the American people, we're spending billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars in keeping people alive, keeping people healthy, over medicating people, and doing all this other stuff. This is why, this is an observation of someone who isn't into politics, who isn't into anything like that, is just looking and going, this is pretty freaking messed up. I mean, even I can figure this out. It's messed up. And that's how bad it is. I just think that this whole thing, this whole world, everything about what we do right now is based on, because we're being controlled. And a lot of people might not like what I say, but we are controlled. And I had talked to this one gentleman who is like, he is all in. He's like a food, he's a prepper, he's got everything. Sorry, my nose is itching. He's got everything that you could think of, and he's like prepared for this, prepared for that. I'm not going down, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, whatever you do, okay, don't tell everybody what you got. Don't tell everybody what you're doing. I mean, seriously, the people who are serious about doing what he wants to do, they don't talk about it. Why give up your locations? Why do this? It's just all these crazy things that people talk about. They're gonna, like, this one deal on YouTube was talking about how they're telling everybody what they would do and how many people they have, and things like that. And it's mind numbing. It's seriously mind numbing to think that these people honestly think that they can throw an entire government. It's not going to take 1,000, 200,000, 500,000. It's going to take millions of people, folks, to take over our government. We have to show our power as we the people. But that's never going to happen, because the diversity here in our country, anyone that wants to be an American, they go through and they become an American. They work really hard to become an American. That's normal immigration. I understand that there's people who live in bad situations in other countries and they want to come here and they want to start new lives. But again, there's rumors about that where, people who retire, you know, some people get no more than $1,400 a month in Social Security. And the funny part about it is it's really strange. The whole thing is strange. Think about it. Think about how it's going to be. What's going to happen? And that's gonna be right there. It's gonna be your answer to everything. Because when the day comes when all this goes down, are you ready? Just don't tell people what you got, so they're gonna come knocking on your door. That's not the good part to be. The plan is just deal with it. When it all comes down, there'll be a time, believe me, there'll be a time to call to arms. And when that happens, it's going to happen quick. If this happens, it's all conspiracy. It's all, what if? This is what these people are actually talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is the way I see things going on. I see no good in the next couple months. The next 2 years, I see nothing good going to happen. It's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse because we, the people, are allowing this. We're allowing this to happen. We could come together. We could stop all this by ourselves, but it's not going to take a couple thousand. It's going to take millions of people to come at one time and start negotiating right off the bat and go exactly what the Constitution says, how to fix it. Because there are articles that will tell the American people how to fix it. I know there are. There's so many things our founding fathers did. And if you take history in school, I loved history in school. It's how I learned about the history. But the funny part about it is I didn't do good on tests. I just but history, you just look at history and look at how things happened in our government back in history and look and just follow it. Armies, it takes armies to win wars. It doesn't take a bunch of 100 drunk guys or guys that think that they can take over the country and run the country themselves. Dudes, that's not going to happen. The Constitution and articles of the Constitution, there are things written in there to tell us what to do and how to do it. But, some of you might say, well, yeah, let's do that. We'll put Trump in charge. No, that's not going to happen either. Could he do a job? I doubt it, because that's 10 times, if not 100 times more than the president has to deal with right now. You're going to have a lot of things going on, and there's going to probably be a lot of people that die from this. But do we really have to go that far? I don't think we do. We just need to be smart and vote and don't trust anything that the government tells us. I mean, I don't even know what to vote for anymore. And that's crazy. That's real crazy. Who do you vote for? Nobody. I just don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it, to be honest with you. I mean, now they're talking about this new pandemic. Okay, again, I'm hearing it just like I heard it before, and it's supposed to be worse than it was, or variants. I don't think they say anything about worse, but it's supposed to be these 3 different variants. Who it's going to attack people who's had it or who has had the vaccinations. I've heard so many stories about this right now. I'm just like, kind of sounds like the first one that went through. What should I do? And I am in a situation right now that I am happy to be at. I can't tell you what that is, but I can tell you this. I'm helping a lot of people, and that's a good feeling. And I asked for that and I got it. But I'm watching this all take place, and you're wondering how it's going to affect me in the future. How is this going to affect me in the near future? And it's just you just got to give it away, and the thing about it is there's nothing we can do. We're powerless. We have to do exactly what they tell us to do. You can fight back, which a lot of people did, and a lot of people won. And the same thing can happen this time around. But I think there's going to be a lot more people, less, people that are going to want to get this and do it all over again. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to go through what we already went through. And again, it's just this conspiracy deal. Look at it's happening. It's happening right before another election. Oh, Lord, not again. I mean, seriously. And it makes you wonder, how can this happen? And what's happening because we are not doing anything about it. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what to do. Where do you start with all this? You can't. There's nobody that knows what they're doing, nobody to organize and to make sure that they're doing it right. I mean, there's things. Are you going to fight? Here's the question I had: is one guy says, he says, "Hey, would you fire upon a soldier or one of our own soldiers?" And this guy goes, "Hell no." He goes, "How much of those boys you think are gonna shoot at us?" And I've been saying that a long time. I said, I'm pretty sure that there's only like, I think one statistical thing I learned was about 8% of the military would fire upon the American people. Only 8%. That's not saying other countries wouldn't. I'm saying if during a time, how many 8%? They figure 8%. The other percentage is not going to fire upon the American people. They're going to uphold the Constitution, and if what they're doing is, not with the Constitution, they're defending the Constitution. So they pretty much got to not do this. Got to not. They just can't do this. And as much as they're going to try, at some point something's got to give. So this is why I'm saying this. Anybody that hears this, anybody that is going to follow this and do everything that they can, just keep in mind at some point there is a give and take on everything. And I just feel that this is really, really important. To me, it's really important, you know. And oh, oh yeah, sorry about that. I was going to share anyway. So uh this whole thing about uh this they talk about new world order. Hold on, someone's texting me. I gotta text him. If I don't, he'll call me. But anyway, so the, everything that's happening is happening for a reason. I'm a believer of that, and we don't need to get into that right now. But the thing about it is right now, no matter how we look at it, we the people, we need to start looking at what's the future is going to hold for us. There's not going to be a lot left if we keep letting things go. Sooner or later you can't ignore it. There's a lot of people who ignore it, a lot of people who turn their back on it, a lot of people who don't want to know about it. They're smart. They're very smart. However, at some point they're going to have to start noticing. And this is why I say what I say. It has to happen that way. People, you got to be noticed. You got to notice what's going on. You got to prepare yourselves, because all the money in the world, all your money that you have is going to be worthless to you at that point. And if it gets to that point, which I'm hoping it doesn't, I'm hoping that at some point things get back on track like it has in history. We've had some really bad bumps in the past. Some some of it I feel like is a little worse in some areas, but now it's like worse all over. It's like it's like I can't believe that in so many years so many things would be happening, and so much corruption and everything else. It's just phenomenal. I don't know how many of you guys watch TikTok, but I do. I do. And it's real funny if you concentrate on a subject, if you look at a subject for more than 3 seconds or whatever the case, and you flip, it already knows that you watched it for 3 seconds, and you'll see more of that when you're flipping through it. So I have to, once I see something, I just flip it right away. Once I see something, I flip it right away. I see something, I flip it. I don't, like I said, the second you send, that's how this thing operates. And so I concentrate on dogs and religious stuff all the time. And, and, and it feels good that I don't get on. But every so often, man, something pops in there and I watch it, and it takes forever to try to bleed that out again. like especially the one you see, different, different, things coming through. Like I have one account, I have another account, and you see the difference in what you're pulling in. It's really interesting. This is how the media gets you. This is how evil gets you. This is what happens. And this is how I think a lot of people right now are being talked to. And I believe, we're more aware about what's going on around us at this time. And now, not only that, these the ability for people to riot and get away with rioting, the looting, and all this other stuff. I mean, seriously, we're letting this stuff happen. You know, uh, that song, Jason Aldean, "Don't Try This in Our," in a small town, whatever the name of that was. It was a good song, caused a lot of controversy, but you know what? That song couldn't have been further from the truth. There will people that in their towns, man, you go into their towns, they will hunt you down and you won't be found. I guarantee you, you won't be found. Go ahead and try it because no one's going to help you. No one. You can try to document it if you want or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of places you cannot do that. And that's why I just shake my head all the time. At some point, it's going to happen and there's going to be bloodshed. And I believe that's going to happen. And it's going to happen real soon. And we all have to be prepared for things like that. But the question is right now, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to listen to? How are we supposed to, I remember a friend of mine, his name was William, and he had his idea of getting, listening to the facts, being smart, listening to things that make sense. And I used to do this, and I did it. Uh, yeah, yeah. See, good man. He's a good man. But check this out. So now, see, this is why it's not good for me to watch any text messaging because now I got off track. Um. Anyway, so I'm just gonna say this. Things things are going to get kind of crazy. And the more they get crazy, the more things start to happen. We all have to be prepared no matter what we do. Being prepared is the best thing you can do. And it doesn't mean you have to buy millions of guns. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything like that. It just means be prepared. Buy silver, buy gold, whatever the case may be. Put stuff away because currency is not going to be available to us. That's going to happen whether we want to or not. That's going to happen, and they're going to find a reason to make it happen. And once they make it happen, there's not going to be going backwards. So that's another thing that we have to look. We have to make sure that during this time, during these transitions, that you understand that we allowed this to happen. It doesn't have to happen, but it's going to happen. Well, this one is completely out of our control. It's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it, and that's just that. A good friend of mine, he's I would love to get him on a show with me, but the fact of the matter is he's a tiger, and he'll bite your arm off real bad. But the thing about it is we all have to do something. And whether help neighbors, help people, but help them the American way. Don't turn your back on people. Don't do that. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who need help. And if you can help that person, it doesn't mean you're enabling them. It means you're helping them. And that's the best thing you can try to do. If you see someone struggling and whatever you got to do it, and you got to be as humble as you can. People, have changed. This whole thing has changed my life. This whole me getting COVID and everything has changed my life forever. And nothing is going to change me anymore. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the person who I once was. and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life and I'm going to take care of myself. That's what that had taught me. And it was really, it's hard. It's hard to explain to people. But the best thing to do is to be humble and listen to people and be there when, like people were there for me when I needed them. Like my church was there for me, my psychologist was there for me, and all these other people that helped me, my doctors and everything else that helped me to get back and helped me to get to where I am right now, which is something that is really important. But the thing about it is how much of that, playing the game, being, in financial disaster, if you didn't have uh, the insurance and all these things that I talked about, just the whole thing I talked about, it's just we cannot trust our government in whole. There's nobody we can trust. It doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter any of that. What matters is we need to get younger people in our government who are better thinkers than the old thinkers and the guys freezing up all the time. And one guy, he can't freaking figure out which direction he's walking in, or shaking hands with people that aren't there. We don't know who that guy is. I can't remember his name, but it's true, he's definitely got problems. It could be all an act. We really don't know. There's sometimes he kind of acts like all goofy, but there's times when he is. I guess that's all a part of the maybe an act. Has anybody ever thought about that? No, nobody wants to think about that. Not at all. Nobody wants to think that possibly that could be a disguise, or better yet, here's a scenario that makes more sense, is more logical. We know that when Biden's acting like a dumbass, that's Biden. All right, that will be deleted on YouTube. But anyway, so the thing about it is no matter how you look at this, can't believe I said that, uh, but it's true. It's true. But anyway, so no matter how you look at this whole thing, y- the people who we have right now in this administration, you just wonder where everything's going, and you wonder if he's really in charge. And then there was a thing where Obama was talking about if he had a way of arranging, him taking the third term, and he would talk on the, and tell the other person, use him as a puppet and all this other stuff. Doesn't that make more sense than why they put Biden in there? I mean, seriously. Um, yeah, and it's but again, that's just it's hearsay. I know it's hearsay. I know that someone else, is this the truth? Are we seeing it the way? That's why I always say I am not left, I am not right. I am an American citizen and I support the Constitution 100%. That's it. All this other stuff that's going on, it's just watching your home country destroy your future. And that's how I feel about that. The thing about it is every day that we do this it seems like waking up the next morning, it's like it's one more day that I get to be alive, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We don't even know if tomorrow's going to be there. And so, should we have to feel that way? Is it really important to feel that way? I mean, seriously, look at what we're doing here. We're literally destroying our own country. We're doing it, yes, because we're allowing it to happen. And there's just so much a person can do. There's just so much. You know, uh, Before I end, I just want to say something. There's a lot of people out there who don't know what's going on. And if you're a lot of those people and you're just going with what the masses are doing, or you don't want to lose friends or whatever the case may be, the best thing for you to be is, if anybody should ask you, is you should stand your ground. And if you don't want to be any part of the left or the right, you should just say, I'm an American. I support the Constitution. And that's all you have to say. And they're going to say, well, what sense does that make? I support the Constitution. I am an American. That's all that's all I would tell that youth. That gets them out of anything. Because and you, yeah, you can support one thing or the other. You're kind of riding the fence. You're just looking over going, what a bunch of assholes. I was going to say it, but I didn't say it. Yeah. Got to tear it down and build it back. Yes, yes. That's actually a good idea. But the fact of the matter is, it would be virtually impossible, 100% impossible for that to happen. You get it? It's like impossible. There's so many things right now that are so gone. And when I mean that literally. I mean, we will never get back what we had before. We can only get well, there you go. Ben Franklin said on the steps, I give you a republic, man. I know that was man. But anyway, he's right. I mean, think about it. Look where we are at right now in our history. Look where we're at. Look at the crap that we had to deal with back, or well before we were even born. Think about what our grandparents went through and all the struggles that they went through to get to where we are today. And they worked. They worked their butts off their entire lives, and they even tried to help us. Our parents tried to help us. Our parents tried to make us better people than what they were. And I want the same for my children and everything else that happens. This is what happens. you know People need to understand that no matter how you look at this scenario, there's a truth behind both sides. You put them together and you might come up with the truth. And that's where things can get a little bit crazy, maybe. And the more that this happens, the more that it happens. I got to text somebody here. The more that it happens, the better it gets. You agree? I think I would agree 100%. Because no matter how you look at it, it's a crazy world we live in these days, and it's scary. To be honest with you, it's scary. What's scary about it is you don't know what's going to happen every day, and that's kind of where I'm at with all this. I just think the whole thing is just getting out of control. I think people need to calm the hell down, you know, and do something about it and quit crying. I know that everybody's crying all the time. And oh, that's not what I wanted. So anyway, so with that being said, you just have to take it one day at a time. And that's the way I'm looking at it this way. There's nothing that we can really do to change anything. But in the future, we have the ability to make sure that this stuff never happens again. And maybe that's uh maybe part of it. Oh yeah, one important part of that I forgot is I give you a republic if you can keep it. If you can keep it. if you can keep it. Okay, well, that makes sense altogether, all around. I mean, yeah, yeah. How did we get there? How did we get there? I don't know. It just we just got there. I'm hold on a minute here. Copy link. I got somebody else who's yelling out there to me, want me to send them a link. But anyway, so in today, let's talk about going shopping. Let's talk about that. So I'm gonna touch quickly on this because I gotta end this in about 5 minutes. But think about it this way: we go to the store. We used to go to the store uh, back before I had COVID, back before the pandemic started. Jody and I would order groceries from shipped and have it brought to our house. And we used to spend it was like 100. It was about 110 to $120 every time, and because we pretty much got the same stuff, but there'd be times that we'd add something else, and that's what would happen. So we did that, and we got it into our budget, and everything was working great. And then that would take care of us for 2 weeks. It would pretty much take care of our food needs for 2 weeks. Of course, we went out also, and then um, so the one part of the money, the one part is that now that was about 110. To do the same groceries, the same items again is $189 now. That's how much it's gone up. That's insane. That's insane. That's just freaking crazy to think that. Go anywhere. I mean, the other day I thought, well, man, if I go, I can eat at the restaurant at night. If I eat one meal at night, I'm going to save in groceries at the end. I went and had one item. It was a $12 item. It was a turkey salad. I had it, and I had a cup of split pea. Altogether, that whole meal with tip cost me $21. So you times that by once every day or whatever the case, or once a day, you add that up, and you go to the grocery store and you buy the same kind of stuff to make the same, you are going to come out cheaper getting it from the store. However, if I was to go there and I was to have, let's say, a meatloaf stacker, I go in there and I have it, that's going to cost me $8. That's going to cost me if I don't get anything else, it'll cost me about $13, $14. That $13, $14, if you go back and you do the math and do all the stuff, you find out that that would be a meal that you would make out. You would get ahead by buying it every week and eating the same thing, though. That you could have other dishes there that are in that ballpark area. As long as you don't have anything extra and you're drinking water, you literally could do that. The math is there. You can check it, do whatever you want. And oh, by the way, that's only 5 days a week. That's working days. And on the weekends, it's whatever you cook and stuff like that. Because you're still going to have a breakfast. You're still going to have a lunch. You can't eat out at lunch. You have to bring your lunch and do all that other stuff to make this work. But it does save you money, but not like you think. It's stopping to prepare time, and you can have certain different things, certain different vegetables at night, and you can eat light in at lunch and light in the morning and stuff like that, and it just works out that way. And because to buy that variety for a whole week is costs more money. That's all I can say. It's just the way it is, and that's inflation. Inflation has really destroyed a lot of people, and it's just like that. I mean, no matter how you look at it, no matter what you do, it's what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, and we can change it. So, But anyway, I'm going to get out of here, and you guys all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching the show. Like I said, we're trying out some new stuff, probably to save us a little bit of money. And I hope that it works. And if it worked well, it looks like we can chat to each other here. And I want to thank the people who did watch this live tonight. It will be available. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to leave it below. Subscribe to us and follow us and share us with everybody you can. It does make a big difference on our end. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. And there is hope, but we need to change it. Bye.